Haha.
Hi.
Everything's officially alive. Do not incriminate yourself right now. It's trackable. It is
Being
evidence.
documented.
Watch out, Matt.
Down there.
Yeah.
Tell your FBI agent like you didn't hear this, you didn't watch this.
Well, we just won't put any ice in our drink.
So,
Ice.
Oh, ice. Oh, jeez. Okay.
yeah. Lock your doors, don't let them in. And while we wait for people, I'm going to go over and change our Twitch description because it won't let me change it until after we're live, which is silly. Hopefully you guys are having a good week.
Yeah, I can't complain.
It's only Tuesday.
Yeah. So
Don't challenge the universe like
Thursday.
that. Don't challenge the universe like that. Like,
No, don't.
Let's see. Aura healthy while hunting ghosts. There we go. Done. Thank you so much there, Twitch. All right. Hi, Debbie. So welcome to another episode of the Healer's Corner. Tonight we have Laura and Laura's hubby.
Technical advising.
Going over how to keep your aura and probably your whole energy field healthy, doing the paranormal investigative stuff, because some stuff can happen while we're out doing that. But why don't you two give a little introduction about yourselves, maybe how you got into it, and talk about your group that you have so other people can follow you there as well.
Sure. So I'm Laura Slys. I am an empath and a psychic medium, specializing in reading auras and making connection with spirit. I have been a paranormal investigator for a little over 15 years now, I'd say. And Matt and I co-founded 111 Paranormal, which is our investigative group. And boy, we just have had great experiences and just a wonderful time doing that and trying to figure out, what's next. And I think a lot of our experiences have brought us to a point where we've got some definitive ideas about what happens beyond this world.
I've been doing this a minute.
Yeah, it kind of just came together, and we've had some interesting experiences and things that we can't explain, but we try to debunk. What could be obvious, and then when you can't debunk it, then you realize it's something bigger than ourselves. So.
Now, I know, Maria, you had like a mini novel of questions for them.
Oh my goodness, those were intense questions, but really good.
It was a college thesis.
There were ouchies.
No, it's college thesis. It's like, for a research paper for college.
Yeah, they were great.
Brought me back.
Yeah.
Now, Maria does great in coming up with really good, thoughtful, deeper than the basic questions. And I love that she does that for me because.
Do you know how hard it takes me a couple of days to do that? Because I really got to go in and look at every key point.
Yeah, I mean, they were thoughtful questions. I'm thankful that I got them ahead of time because it took me, I had to go through them and just kind of think about things in a different way, which is great that you do that so people can kind of think about it as a whole versus little pieces and parts. So I thought it was amazing.
And it's a good courtesy for the guests to do that. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So the first question was, what exactly is an aura in your understanding, especially in the context of paranormal work? Is it purely energetic or does it have other components?
So as far as I'm concerned, what I see is somebody's energy. So it's a field of energy that surrounds them. And I call it an aura because I don't know what else to call it. But a lot of times I think what I see is what I need to see to give someone the reading that they need to get, right? Because to me, those colors stand for certain things. When I see yellow, I know that there's something spiritual or supernatural, paranormal that's happening in that person. And when I see blue, I know that person has some empathic abilities. And when I see red, that's a strength color. So it's something where that person is a strong of character, and usually that person is the one that people in the family or people that they know will go to because they know they're going to get a straight answer and they're going to get the right, they're going to get the real answer. And so it's all of those things, but it's so much more than that too, because they can change. I think that when you have paranormal or spiritual abilities, those colors often stay the same, but they come in different degrees, right? They can be bright yellows versus muted yellows, and they can be bright blues versus a more subdued blue. And a lot of times those things mean that, you know, you may not want that, or you may not be willing to admit that you've got that, or so I have to interpret those. But the interpretation is really based on that person who's sitting in front of me and what my gut's telling me about them and what my instincts are telling me and what spirit is telling me too, because I will a lot of times tap into, depending on the shape of the yellow I see in someone's aura, I can tell if they've got somebody with them.
Mm.
And a lot of times if I draw, I do draw the aura as well, so I draw it out and give it to the person to take with them when I do a reading. And a lot of times when I get yellows that are sharp, it's like I'm coming in and the spirit will say, I'm trying to reach this person. And then we work on trying to get that message and find out who that person is, and what's going on, and why they're reaching out and why they're hanging out, things like that. And it's been some really, really amazing things that have happened. And I've not been doing this too long, a couple years now, but some of the most amazing experiences that I've had, and being able to give people closure or give people um, an idea of who's with them and who's watching. And but also, on the other hand, I'm also working with people to, when I get an orange color in their aura, they are very structured and kind of rigid, and want things a certain way. And so, depending on what that orange is mixing in with, I can have that conversation that says, "Hey, maybe you need to kind of step back a little bit and not try to be so controlling in this situation." And so it's really kind of a cool mix of things. Yeah, and I don't even know, like, I call it an aura. I hope that's what it is. I mean, I think that if someone else was an aura reader and read that person, they'd get a lot of the same colors that I would get. But I know it's what I need to see to have that conversation with that person.
Now, I'm glad you said I draw the aura, because I meant to have this ready, so I got up and left. But this is the one, and I hate the reflection showing, but this is one that Laura did for me.
Yeah, you had a lot
Um,
of yellow in that.
so we got what, like yellow into blue,
Yeah.
purple, and that yellow into blue, slight green, but that yellow stayed pretty prominent. It didn't
It
blend.
did, and that meant that you had, in that sense, what I would interpret that as is that you've got a little bit of a pointiness coming. So there was somebody around you at the moment that we did that, but also too that you've got the ability to connect with spirit. And that's what that yellow means. And the blue is definitely, you have a very much an empathic aura about you, so you can pick up on not only living but non-living feelings and emotions. And so when I see something like that, I usually tell people, I'll have a conversation with them to see, do you know that you can do that? Do you feel sometimes that you can pick up on things, and maybe sometimes it's not even your own emotion that you're feeling, but all of a sudden you switch emotions really quick. And a lot of times they'll kind of stop and say, oh yeah, I do. And I said, well, that's not your emotion, like you're picking up on something else around you. But you also had the purple, which is family, so you had the whole family vibe going on there too. and those do tend to change sometimes. I would say that that more or less the yellow and the blue, those spiritual abilities, those are always going to be in your aura in some way, shape, form, or color, right? But
Hmm.
sometimes those other colors can come in where it's like, depending on what you're going through in that moment, you might have some black in there that is worry. So you're worried about, there's a specific issue you're worrying about at the moment, and that'll show up as black around the outside of the aura typically. Or brown is frustration, or green a lot of times is something to do with plants and animals. And a lot of times we can talk, I've run into a lot of people who have had um, spirit animals, and so we start to talk about that, and I'll get that picture in my head that they're getting like something's rubbing against their leg, and there's no animal there, or they're feeling a jump on the couch or the bed, and there's no live animal there, and that stuff comes into my head, and so I have those conversations, and 9 times out of 10 that's what's happening. And so I'm telling them, yeah, you've got spirit animals that are around you as well. So you it's an amazing thing because it gives people so much peace and love. And our animals are our fur babies, so when I can connect like that, it's always special to me.
Peggy says, I had a reading from Laura a couple months ago. I've had readings before, but never an aura reading. She's extremely accurate. Well, thank you, Peggy.
Aw, thank you, Peggy. Yeah, we had a great reading. In fact, I had a reading with her sister as well. I remember this specifically because the night before I had names come to me, and those names turned out to be extremely relevant. And so we were able to get a message to someone in their family that needed to get the message, and it was amazing.
Yes. All right. So, second question, dun dun dun, would help if I was on the right tab. I may or may not have like 75 bajillion tabs across my browser, so don't mind me. How do you believe paranormal entities or energies interact with a person's aura? Is it a direct attack, a slow drain, or is it something else?
Well, I feel like when somebody has, especially when someone has yellow in their aura and they have that ability to um, to kind of to kind of know that there's some entity around them. The entities also do see that in them. So as much as that yellow is like yours was a very bright yellow, when I see that bright yellow, I don't think it's just me seeing that. I believe that the entities that are around them are seeing that and are drawn to that because they know that in some way, shape, or form they can connect with that person. So
Hmm.
whether it be by a sign, which signs pennies on the ground and a heads up because their grandma told them only pick up the heads up pennies, or a butterfly bush, or a bird, or a cardinal, or things like that. That there are ways that people that are on the other side can connect with you if you've got that yellow in your aura. Um, I think that's an important thing to realize. And so when people come to me and I can see that they've got that, I try to make that clear to them. And then we try to kind of dive a little deeper in to see if we can find out if there is someone with them, who is it? And what are they trying to say? Um, I think that's how it works. I don't feel like it's an attack or things like that. I'm of the firm belief that 99% of the time, the spirits that you're going to run into are just people. And granted, people are of all shapes and sizes and personality types, and some of them can be mean. And if they're a mean bastard when they are alive, they're going to be a mean bastard when they're not alive too. So you're going to get that. But I do think that for the most part, those things are not going to harm someone, but they can make someone uneasy, obviously. But we try to get to the bottom of that, and so I like to think that it's more of a mission to kind of just figure things out, to solve a puzzle. So I don't feel like the entities are trying to hurt someone or attack someone in any way, but it can be overwhelming, obviously, for
Mhm.
people to be able to deal with that, and especially if it's someone that you loved and you miss them. Knowing that they're there is great, but you can't touch them, you can't hold them, you can't hug them, you can't. That's a lot for somebody to deal with. So I'm glad that there are people like me and others that can be that go between and kind of help facilitate some closure for people.
Now, like, what are some common signs or symptoms that a paranormal investigator aura might be compromised or maybe even becoming unhealthy while on an investigation?
A high fever.
No,
High
I
fever.
think the biggest thing is just that feeling of agitation, right? You get agitated, and so a lot of times you just don't know why. Um, but if you walk into a place, especially if you're empathic, if you walk into a place and you feel that energy level and it's just consuming and intense, well, that kind of thing, yeah, can affect your energy around you, because it kind of seeps into your soul. You don't have to be even psychic to feel that kind of thing. People that we've gone on investigations with at Waverly Hills Sanatorium, they're not even psychic, but you walk into a place like that has all that energy built up for so many years of hopelessness, that anyone can feel it. So I think in that sense, that does affect a person's energy levels or aura, in that way. And so you've gotta kind of step back a little bit. Maybe during those investigations, you take your breaks. You kind of go and have a laugh with somebody, or that's why you've got that break room, right? You've got to step away from it and not just go full force into everything head first. You've got to take your breaks, kind of build your energy back up. You've got to be able to have people around you that you can share a laugh with, or have a conversation with, that takes you away from just thinking about that at the moment.
Readings too. You can
When I do the
readings. Same thing. You
readings,
take
yeah, it's
breaks
the
too.
same thing. Yeah, when I do, I need, as a psychic doing readings. The very first time I did readings, I made the mistake of like going reading, 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 and not taking a break between anything and doing it all day long, because I felt bad because people were there in line, and I didn't want to turn them away, and boy, that was a tough recovery for me for the next couple of days. So yeah, you've got to give yourself that time out to be able to step away from it. Even if it's 5-10 minutes, you've still got to do it. Same thing on an investigation.
Now, a side question, as you guys are talking, and it's for both of you. And so, like Matt, have you noticed anybody outside of you two, like part of a team, start acting differently that you then would go get like Laura and be like, "What's going on?" Like, and Laura, have you noticed a change in the aura? After they have came in and start experiencing.
I
Probably
think
that last time we went to Madison
we
Seminary.
had a team member of ours who with EVP going, electronic voice phenomena, and the box said something, a word that was very personal to him, and he was able to interpret it as a personal attack on him. And I never seen him, but he just got really upset. He's like, "I'm
Yeah,
being
yeah.
attacked. I'm out. I'm out. Done."
Yeah, so I definitely noticed that sort of darkness that seeps in, and it's that worry and like not understanding and kind of confusion, right? So that shows up as a darkness on auras, and it's not wrong, it's not evil, it's not anything like that, but it's just that it can consume somebody real quick because you don't know what's going on. And he felt personally attacked in that moment. And for me, I was like, well, you need to just step out. You need to, if you want to go, like, now's the time to go. And he left, and probably within a couple hours called us back and said, when can we go again? But he got out of the situation, and it did help him to kind of bring that energy level back into himself, and just start to heal that a little bit. But he definitely needed to step away from the situation at the moment.
Hmm.
We had another team member. We were at overnight, and we actually stayed the night, and she was getting really anxious, agitated, and just bringing in a lot of confusion, a lot of drama. It was just, and Laura had to step in and say, maybe you're not cut out for this.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, I didn't wasn't trying to be mean or anything, but you have to, you do have to have a sense of strength about you when you're doing investigations, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to run into a spirit that is, domineering, and someone who was a bad person in life. Um, and so you've got to be prepared for those kinds of things. And it's a tough thing to have that conversation with people, but sometimes it's what's got to be done, because you don't want them to have like a permanent scar on their aura because they can't find that piece that they need to find to get back to where they're healthy again, right? uh, so sometimes you have to have those conversations.
Did you have any new questions pop up, Maria, so far?
Yeah. So, um, on the side on this topic here, have you come across that if a person doesn't step out in the investigation, that there might be a borderline possession, that they might bring this spirit home with them?
I'm going to tell you, in 20 years, nearly 20 years of doing this, we're about 18 years in. I've never experienced that kind of thing. Um, like I said, 99% of the time you're dealing with a ghost, and so there's not a possession. That's not something that is going to happen. That's more along the lines of like I would say an elemental. That's an easier thing for like an elemental spirit to do, because I mean, they're more of like the earth, and they can move differently than ghosts and spirits can move. But I think what happens when a person stays in the environment that they shouldn't stay in, it's draining them. That's what's happening. So it's draining that energy that they have. I don't think that then in turn becomes a place where they can get possessed or get an attachment. But a lot of times, these spirits are in this place, and obviously none of us know exactly why, right? We don't know the answers to that, but many times they're there and they're going to stay there. They're not going to leave with someone who comes and says, hey, I'm going to attach to this person, because there's a reason why they're there. Do I know what that reason is? No, I'm not going to pretend like I do know what that reason is, why some spirits are mandated to stay where they're at, right? I don't know the answer to that, but maybe it's true that there's something that they have to do, or there's something that they're paying penance for. I don't know. But like I said, I think 9 times out of 10 they're staying where they are. And unless you come across something that is that 1%, that's an elemental kind of thing. I'm not somebody who believes in demons, so the possession thing, I'm not sure how I feel about that. If I experienced it, then I would have a different. I would tell you something very different. Or if I witnessed it, then I would say something very different. But as of this point in my life, I have not witnessed that. I'm not saying that it's false or fake, or I'm just saying that in my experience, I have not experienced that.
And I think too, when you talk about possession, it's also the way the people's threshold is. If they're susceptible to that,
Mm.
they might have a negative feeling, and they might think oh, I'm possessed because I'm thinking something that I normally didn't think. So it's just a matter how people react to that kind of change in their mental environment.
Also, too, the possession thing,
Except for the twitch.
sort of like that. So tying into that, people that are that have some level of psychic ability, sometimes I think that it can feel almost like a possession, because, and if you're psychic out there, you know what I'm talking about. You get these thoughts that pop into your head that aren't yours, and you get emotions that come into you that aren't yours, and so it throws you. And all of a sudden, you're in this environment where you're not understanding why you're feeling a certain way. You're not understanding why you're hearing things or experiencing something that you just don't understand why it's happening to you. And that can feel a lot like possession. That can feel a lot like an entity that's coming in and kind of taking over. When what they're doing is really trying to communicate, but you just may not be experienced enough or not know that you've got this ability to interpret those things. And it
Mm.
takes a long time to get there. I mean, when I first started getting words and thoughts and voices in my head, I thought it was crazy because they're not yours. And and all of a sudden I started to finally accept what I kind of always knew my whole life. But once I did that, I was able to then distinguish between what was mine and what wasn't mine. But it takes a long time to get there, and it takes help. And one thing I will say, like Goddess Elite does a psychic circle, and those kinds of things,
Mhm.
people should go and participate in those if you feel like you've got any kind of ability or you're feeling, those kinds of things, because that helped me quite a bit, and I can't say enough about what that did for me.
And we didn't even have to bribe you to say that.
You didn't. I mean, because it's true. It's so true. Like it really helped me.
Endorsement.
It really did help me out in my head. So it was amazing.
Well, and it's a safe space too to meet other people who are experiencing the same thing, and you get to talk about what worked for you that might help somebody else, or vice versa. And it's a really great tool to use, I think.
Plus, the
Um,
validate. There was a lot of validation there too. She came out
Yeah.
of that psychic circle and she's like, "Oh my gosh,
I was like, I'm psychic.
So I sleep with one eye open."
she said psychic, not psychotic. I mean,
That's right.
Hey, she asked for a lock of my hair. She got mad at me and asked for a lock of my hair.
I mean,
That's why I keep it short now.
smart move, smart move. Keep an eye on that toothbrush.
that's right.
It is a fine line, Jerry. I jokingly refer to our psychic fairs as like psychotic fairs, leading up to. Because usually leading up to the big ones like the wine and spirits, and like by the end of the day, it's like I feel psychotic and just done, and like the planning and the handling. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go home and sit on the couch and drool for a
Yeah.
day, staring at the wall. Like I'm good. Do you find certain types of paranormal activity affect the aura or the person more, like residual versus intelligent versus anything else you may have run across?
Definitely the intelligent would affect a person more, um, because you've got that interaction and you're having direct communication. So absolutely, for sure, that affects it. It definitely affects your energy level more than anything else, because, well, one, I mean, if you're a paranormal investigator, you're excited because you're having that interaction.
Hmm.
So, it's an amazing feeling, and your energy and adrenaline is pumping. And that does, you can see that in somebody, and it's almost like a glow.
It's also the
Um,
candy we eat too.
and the candy we eat, yeah, there's always candy and cookies. Um, but residual, no, I don't think much, but that's probably a given, because you're not having that direct interaction with anything. But it's still, I mean, to anything you experience is absolutely amazing. So we will take any of it.
Now, like after or thinking about going and doing the paranormal, like what is your like go-to for cleansing or recharging while you're there and during and and after?
Absolutely, for me, it's hematite. Hematite is my go-to stone for everything. It's a grounding stone. It's an aura cleanse. Um, I always have hematite rings when I do readings, and I ask people, like, how do you feel about? Yeah, I got my both of mine from the store is right here, and I've always, yeah. I mean, I love hematite. It for me, it's just a cleanse, and it builds me back up. The other thing for me is my animals. Um, I think that, and I too tap in. I tend to get a lot of people who have the same thing, that their animals are what recharge them. So, like after I've done a wine and spirits or some kind of an event, I'll come home, and when I'm sitting on the couch, they actually all come to me, and then I just kind of get my energy back through them, and it's absolutely amazing. When I'm on a ghost hunt, the other thing I like is sort of fragrant, smells like peppermint, eucalyptus, menthol, things like that, that really kind of, oh, they just kind of awaken your brain and keep you going, and but very pleasant smells that I enjoy too. And so I have a spray that I take sometimes for that, and also too, it helps keep the bats away, which is great. But it's like that those scents mixed together for me. That's like my favorite scent to take and just kind of spray whenever I'm out there.
Now, Matt,
Keep it at work too.
now, Matt, as the non-psychic in the pair, do you find that you have different things that you do after an investigation, or do you guys
Yes,
just kind of
I sleep,
usually?
and I mean, because I get tired. I mean, it's tiring. It's a long day and everything from a physical standpoint. I Not really. I'm not psychic, so I don't. I'm not as drained as um, Laura is. As a side note, to talk about draining energy and things like that, where when our cats are sick, she will try to take their ailment away from them, and she winds up getting similar symptoms.
I believe I am a healer, but I don't know how to get it out of me. So that's
We do
something
that
I got to
side
work.
talk, ma'am. We-
Like seriously, like what one of my cats lost all most of his red blood cells and passed away.
Leukemia.
Yeah, he had leukemia. I ended up in the hospital with such low anemia that they wanted to give me a blood transfusion. The next time there was one that almost passed away from pneumonia. I ended up in the hospital with pneumonia, almost dying. Like it's been so, like, toothaches and it's been really kind of crazy things that I'm not even intentionally trying to do that, but I
Mhm.
end up with that. And Matt has always said that, like, my skin buzzes, and so it's a weird kind of thing. So
It's like electric. It's like a vibration almost.
yeah, so it's been a weird, I don't know. I have to figure that out. Melissa, you're gonna have to help me figure that out.
Yeah, I feel like we have a whole side conversation,
Yes.
to do later. Like, no, no, ma'am, you're not supposed to make yourself
Energy
sick. I'll do.
animals. My ADD just kind of went through it. But no, I don't really have to get back on track. I don't really have anything. I don't really feel drained or anything like that.
I did have somebody. I think Jim, who was at Goddess Elite, told us one time that Matt was a little bit. He said a little bit psychic, but that the
That much.
problem is I sort of overwhelm it, and so like
You're
it.
cramping my
I
style. I'm out of
know. I'm
here.
sorry. So that, but we've both been told by numerous people that we've gone to see years before I started doing readings that he was my protector. That that when I go ghost hunting, it's a soul level protection kind of thing, and that he does have some psychic ability, but that it just kind of gets overshadowed. So I always thought that was really cool. And there are
Well,
some strange things that gets feelings about things. It's not. I think he does have some ability. I don't think we'd be together actually if he didn't, because it's like knows like, and you're drawn to it.
well, it's funny that we don't ghost hunt together. You feel weird,
I do. I feel very, yeah, I
exposed.
kind of feel exposed and out there when he's not ghost hunting with me, and it gives me pause. I'll do it, but it's a little different when he's with me. I feel much more emboldened.
Plus, I carry all the stuff here
That's
anyway.
true. So I don't have to carry anything.
Carrying the heavy stuff physically and spiritually. Danielle says, "Hey guys, I agree about animals being able to help us recharge." So
Danielle, that's because you're an empath. I know Danielle, so
I did.
Oh, she got
she's
called out online.
definitely an empath. So that's why I do think that empaths that both plants and animals are the things that tend to recharge empaths. So maybe it's working in the garden, or it's growing roses, or it's something like that, or it's just connecting, like volunteering at a shelter or walking the dogs, or simple things like that. I think are what empaths need to kind of help recharge them.
Mhm. Let's see. So, friends in the audience, feel free ask questions, comments. Matt and Laura are here with us to answer the things, and they are way more the paranormal experts than I am, and maybe more so than Maria. Because Maria, you don't get to do it very often. You're
Mm-mm.
a busy lady. Um, let's see. What are your 3 to 5 practical go-to methods for protecting your? Well, you kind of said hematite, but do you do any sort of like shielding? Do you have any specific like ritual either one of you do before going, prayers, anything else besides hematite?
No, we're not very I would say that we're spiritual, not religious. And so if I do call on something, it's more about sort of calling on the earth, more about nature than it would be, spirits or angels or things like that.
Mm,
I guess much more, what would that be, like pagan, I guess. Um,
yeah, would fall under that umbrella for the
yeah,
most part.
but I do feel like,
We don't really think anything's going to happen. The thing is, we don't really think anything's going to
yeah,
happen to
we
us when we go on a ghost hunt because it's an investigation and not we're looking for evidence and
But I will say that I also feel like I could control those things. Like I know, like spiritually, I feel like if we were threatened, I could handle it. And so I think that's why I go into these places without feeling like I need to do that prep or, that kind of thing, because I feel like there have been a couple times where we've been in a place where we felt a little threatened, and I shut it down, and I will say to the spirits, like, if you're not going to play nice, we're not going to play at all, and have been able to then feel better after that. So I don't know if that's what others can do. I hope so. I feel like if you can say to the spirit, hey, this is my time, I'm here, I'm doing this, back off, a
Mhm.
lot of times they will listen.
we do that when we go to a new house too.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that could be a good beginner's ghost hunting, class right there.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
do you find that you ever like flex your aura out more to try and like get in touch with them if you're kind of walking in, nothing's happening? Do you expand that energy to make it maybe easier for them to see that you're there and like
Yeah, I would
Open the
definitely
stuff
say
up.
I do open up, do a little bit of breathing. So there you go. Yeah, breathe, like some breathing exercises, like the 4 square breathing exercise where you're in, out, in, four, out, or you're in
Mm-hmm.
four, you wait, out 4, you wait. So it does the square, right? And so in my head, I'm
Okay.
doing that, and just kind of, it's like a scanner. I don't know how to even explain it. So it's like I'm scanning for waves or brain waves or something, just to see if I can draw someone in, and kind of offering, like, can I help you? Is there something you need to do? Is there something I can help you reach someone, or that kind of thing. And there have been times when we've been able to do that with even guests, at like our one friend who came to Madison Seminary with us. I ended up connecting with her deceased husband
Oh, yeah.
versus a spirit at Madison Seminary. So it was really strange, because there's a spirit at Madison Seminary named Otis, who was a superintendent there, and he was not a nice man. He was a murderer. And so I kept saying, well, there's somebody here, and it's 4 letters. It begins with O. And our wonderful friend Shelley Bennett, who is a staffer there, said, oh, that's probably Otis. And I was like, no, it's Otto. Weird, right? Just come up with that name. Well, it turns out that was this person's husband, who came as a guest of one of our investigators.
Mm.
There was a whole thing that happened after that. So it was just, I think maybe that person didn't have anyone around them that could communicate, that he could communicate with. And
Mm.
so it was time and I could open up. He was like, all right, I see you're yellow. I'm coming. I'm going to communicate with you. I want to tell my wife this message. Right. And it was amazing. It was an amazing, amazing time.
She's basically psychic Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I think anyone who's psychic is though. Like you just have to learn how to do it.
My
But
mom
that's
came through.
yeah. Um, we've had that happen in other places we're going to investigate, and our family members will come through instead of somebody who's there. So I gotta wonder if it's just where they're at the time.
Now, have you found that there are certain locations that are more that affect the Ormo without the paranormal activity? Like if it's an unknown local haunt that like the staff might know it's haunted, but it's not famously haunted. Are there certain types, you know, of places that affect, that aura more?
Yeah, I would say, a lot of times we run into people who work in restaurants that are old buildings that have been rehabbed, and those people that work there, they hear things, they feel things, they see things, and they're not necessarily psychic, but I think they become so entwined with the environment that the spirits feel comfortable enough to make themselves known. And I don't know that those people would have yellow in their aura, because I wouldn't say that they were psychic, but I gotta wonder if they might have, something coming through that's kind of like, when I draw it, it's gonna look like it's poking, like, hey, I'm here, and you're gonna see me, but I do think it affects them. And it would be interesting to do. What I would love to do now, since I've been doing this for a few years, is to start to get return customers that come back and see what that reading looks like now, right? But in that would be an interesting study to see if I could do aura readings for someone in an environment that's haunted, but is not maybe well known as haunted, and then come back, 3 months later, and see if they've got some yellow in their aura now because they've been able to experience it. That would be a really interesting study. Now I'm going to have to look and see if I can do
Watching this thought process take form
that. The
live. You heard it here.
scientific mind in me wants to see if I can do that. Yes.
Danielle says, I like to believe that different spirits are drawn to people for different reasons. They make a connection with you somehow, whether it be physically, energetically, emotionally. And sometimes it's through an addiction that I've seen, and Maria, you've seen, where if the living person is suffering with some sort of addiction, then a deceased person who had an addiction will kind of like versus like, and they try to live that addiction through the living person.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah.
so same for like the sanitariums and the hospitals. Like, have you had any crew members, trying to, be healthy, working on theirs, and maybe they've been sober, but have you had a spirit like sense that and like, mess with any of your crew members?
I don't know if we've had experiences like that. I feel like
Hey, we've had like physical experiences where we actually people have gotten scratched,
Mm,
um, but no one's ever like offered somebody a drink. Hey,
no,
um,
no. I think that you touched on it, which is like knows like, right? Because I feel like a spirit would maybe maybe it's not trying to get that addiction through them, but try to get that understanding,
mm,
because a lot of people that come in won't understand what that spirit has gone through, and may not be as what may not have the empathy that is required for them to understand, what that spirit went through and what got, maybe what killed them.
mm,
And so I think that they would look to someone who may have struggled, and maybe that's part of what they connect with. because they need that connection, right? They need that someone to understand that it's hard, and they want someone who understands what they've gone through. And that just makes me think about that even more, because that's such a beautiful thing, to be able to find someone that empathizes with you and not just feel sorry for you, right? So I feel
Mhm.
like that's Daniel's right on that, that there are certain reasons why spirits find those people. And I could see that. I know for that did happen to us. We went to Franklin Castle, and the woman or the girl that was there, her name was Emma. She died there of type 1 diabetes, and I am a type 1 diabetic. And I felt that I really connected with her in a way that no one else in that place could. And we I got a picture of her. Like, she literally came out to me, and we have a picture of her becoming a, a what do you
Entity.
an entity right in front of us. And I've got like her legs and her dress and her like her waist, like she's becoming a spirit in front of this camera. And I've got a picture of that, and I don't think that necessarily would have happened had I not been there,
Mm.
because we had that connection of that health issue, and she died from that. And so I think I understood that,
Oh,
as well as the children. I get children. I one of my other gifts is being able to capture spirits on film, on camera. And I would say probably 8 times out of 10, it's children that I am able to get, because I feel like I connect with them because I lost a daughter. And so it's something that is so close to me that all I ever want to do is reach out to them and help them and try to give them a safe space to have someone to connect with. And so at Mansfield Reformatory, I have pictures of children. At Beale Manor, I have pictures of a little girl. Like, it's always for me, I capture those children on film.
what about the lady in the mirror? She reached out. She wanted to hear.
That was, yeah, I don't know if that was me or Christopher. So
She wanted to hear, but she wanted to hear a song that
yeah, we did run into somebody who was wanting to hear a specific music that Matt is a big fan of, the Beatles, and always has that on his phone. And for some reason, I walked into a place at Hillview Manor, into a room, and all of a sudden, I just heard in my head, I want to hear the song Blackbird by the Beatles.
Hmm.
And so we played it.
then you saw
And
her.
both myself and Christopher Jansen, who was with us, who's also a psychic, both saw her in the mirror at that moment. And so, like, it's just those connections, like Daniel said, you they're reaching out because they feel some connection.
So our friends asking about auras and colors. I promise we'll come back to that. We touched on it briefly in the beginning, and I'm sure Laura won't mind if we, go into colors and seeing them and working with them. Maybe after we get through our paranormal versus aura questions. Um, have you come across another investigator who was kind of struggling with their aura health? And if so, like what advice did you give them?
Yeah, I do find a lot of had a few investigators actually on our team who are psychic, but really haven't delved into that at all. So it's sort of just at the beginning of a lot of times when somebody's psychic. I don't know if either of you have run into this, but when they're not practicing and meditating or learning how to use that ability, one of the very first things that happens is they'll walk into a room and they'll start to involuntarily cry. And it's almost an immediate, like, I don't know why I'm crying, but I'm crying. And so I run into that a lot. And that's when you see that aura sort of darken that's around somebody, because they're just not sure what to do with that, what to do with that emotion, how to interpret it. So what I try to do is just talk with them and say, yes, that what you're feeling is valid. So what you're feeling is a sign that you're feeling a spirit, you're feeling an entity around you, but your body just, at this point, your mind and your body doesn't know what to do with that. So, like, we'll well, it goes, maybe I'll say, let's step away and let's go talk about it. And then we can walk back in there and see if it happens again. Right. And so I
Mhm.
think after we have that discussion, most of the time we can walk back in there and they'll feel a little more confident. So I guess what I'm saying is like working with people that you can have a safe space to talk to people and to talk about your experiences. And that's how you kind of help build that aura into a better, more energized color. And so it's not so muted and it's brighter and it stays bright. So it's working with other people that understand what you're going through.
Now, have you had somebody show up to an investigation, you look at their aura and you're like, "You're not coming in"?
No, but I have had a number of people who I look at them and instantly sense that they have abilities. And I'm like, okay, you come with me because I want you to be able to bounce that off of me. Let me know if you feel anything. Let me know if you hear anything. Right. So let's work together. And I'll say, I think you have abilities. Are you okay with that? Do you feel comfortable with that? And and we've had people that have accepted that and like said, okay, I always thought something, but I never knew. And I have like it's like, I don't know if other, see, that's another thing too. I don't know if other psychics have that ability to detect that with each other. So I haven't had those conversations, which I would love to have that, just like a group conversation with psychics and talk about, do you, when someone walks into a room, do you know right away? Because I do. I know right away if they're psychic and they have
Well,
psychic
we did have
abilities.
that. You had that when we went to go see the when she starting out and trying to figure out what she was. She ran into a psychic, and the psychic knew she was psychic,
Oh,
but she didn't want. But she didn't
every,
want to.
right, almost every psychic that I've ever gone to before I was practicing would stop and say, "Do you do what I do?" And I would be like, "No," but and then say, "You should." But I want to have more of a conversation with individuals about their experiences with that, and just see like I can tell if somebody is empathic versus if they're clairvoyant versus if they're if they're hearing or seeing, or it's a weird, like I just want to kind of experience that and see if other people can do the same thing.
Mhm. Maria, did you have any random pop-up
Mm-hmm.
questions? All right, lay them out, lay them out.
Okay. Sometimes when you get a client and they have like they suspect that in them, but they don't know how to work it. Sometimes I feel as though that these people does not want to know. They're happy to just continue going on to have readings or go to paranormal investigation because they're curious, but they're not that curious to dive deep into their abilities. And I have come across some phenomenal people. The other one of them was Nomad. Remember, Melissa?
Mhm.
Yeah, he came in the room for a reading with me, and immediately I saw the brilliant light coming out of him,
Mhm.
and I knew this person was ready. He's at the point that he was at the tipping point, and he came and see me. And I did say the same thing, go and have the development with Jim, perfect it, so you know to know your boundaries are. And but there are some people you come across, and they're talented, but they're not ready, or they don't even want to do it.
Right.
So I don't tell them anything. I just say, well, you sense this. I don't think they were ready. Have you come across people like that?
Yeah, I have too. Yeah, I've experienced that quite a bit, especially when you're detecting that in somebody. But I will, typically what I will do is I will say, do you know that you can sense things, or do you know that you pick up on other people's emotions? Like, do you experience that? And I'll ask them and sort of gauge like how they answer that question will tell me, do we have that further conversation about maybe you should be doing what I'm doing. And it's just a matter of being able to gauge, having that gut feeling and being able to gauge how their reaction is to that question. And then that's what tells me if I should go further or not. And I I've been lucky that in most cases when I've had that ability to find some folks who could do it, they were interested in it. So I said, here are some things that you can do, and I always start with, you need to learn how to meditate, you need to learn, read some books on some certain topics, and we'll talk about some things. And um, just depending on what it is that I'm sensing from them, I'll guide them in some direction, and then say, keep in touch with me. Like, let me know if you have questions. I'm not going to charge you for a reading when you want to call me because you have questions about how you're feeling, or if you're sensing something. Like, I was for years looking for a place where I could go and have those questions asked, and kept running up against, oh, you want a reading? No, I don't want a reading. I want someone I can talk to about what I'm feeling, and what do I do about it. And so I've been kind of putting myself out there for people that have that ability, so that they do have someone that they can reach out to, and maybe help them in some way, shape, or form. Anything, even if it's just a question, where do I go? How do I do, what should I do with this? Anything. Like, I want that circle to develop, those folks, and to help them figure it out, because I never had that. And so yeah, I get a lot of that, where people come in and some are uncomfortable, and if they are, I'll just outright ask them most of the time, like, is this something you're comfortable with? And if they say no, I'll say, well, you you have to learn how to deal with it then. And if you're feeling ill, or sometimes when you're suppressing those things, you can get sick physically. And I did for a long time before I accepted it. I was sick from a lot
Mhm.
of different things.
Mhm.
And so I will tell them, like, when I'm having that conversation, a lot of times it comes into my head what ailments they've had. And so I'll say, well, you're having stomach issues, and they'll look at me like, wow, how do you know that? And I'll say, because I've been there, and I'm seeing that you're having those issues. But a lot of that is because you're not helping to get this energy out of you. It's just stifled inside you. And so, those are conversations. Yeah, we as psychics, we have to judge how we have those
Mhm.
conversations with people, for
Mhm.
sure.
Now, how do you differentiate between general fatigue or stress and the actual auric drain from paranormal work?
Um, I would say, well,
When you're tired, you're tired.
yeah, when I'm tired, yeah. When I have done readings all day, like like at our last event, I it's almost this. It's a fatigue. It's a very different level of tired. It's like inside out, right? I don't even know if I can explain it, but I think you know what I'm talking about, though.
She
Um,
didn't wake up till noon the next day.
yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's this whole level of fatigue where your whole body just feels like used up. And I it's a very different feeling than just the normal stress or tired levels. I wish I could elaborate on it more succinctly, but I don't I don't know how to I don't know how to say that. Just like, I know that it's the difference. I don't typically get that on an investigation, though, I will say, because when I come home from an investigation, it's like going on a roller coaster for me, and I am like super high adrenaline rush. And so it takes me good 2, 3 hours after I get home to even calm down, because I'm just running everything through my head of all the cool things that have happened, and what happened with this, and who heard that. And so but when I do readings, it's definitely a different feeling, because I'm using all of that energy to connect with the spirits, with those people. And I do find that if I don't give myself time throughout that event, by the end of the day, I'm getting less coming through too. So I have to, like, I've learned now that for every, let's say I do three 15-minute readings, I got to take that last 15 minutes of that hour and just breathe and just think about my own thing, right? So that every time I'm going back and it's fresh, I can actually connect and get what this person needs from me because I feel guilty if I can't. So that's why they're there. That's why they're paying to get a reading.
Mhm.
So it's my job to make sure that I can give them the best that I can.
Now, is there a correlation between physical health, spiritual health, in the aura? Can you see like physical ailment in an aura in one of your clients?
I don't see it as that as much as what I see is the darker, like the black color will kind of come in and kind of come over some of the other colors, and a lot of times that's worry. And so what I end up getting when I'm telling somebody, well, I'm seeing black in your aura, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something you're concerned about and you're worrying about. And as I'm having that conversation, it's sort of like a video that's rolling in my head. I start to get images of the heart or the lungs and then I'll say to them, are you feeling ill right now with your stomach or your heart? Or and so that black kind of gets me to see, when I see that, it gets me to that conversation. So I would say yes, it does kind of draw me into that. It helps me in my head figure out what conversation I need to have with that person.
Nice. Now, do you find like exercising, eating healthy, does that help people's auras as well?
I absolutely think it does because it's not just a physical, that's a mental thing too, right? If somebody's exercising, they're in a good headspace. They're almost, when people exercise, it's a meditation form. So whether you're listening to music you love or you're just kind of thinking about something, it's meditation. And so, yeah, I do think it strengthens. I would bet that when I would do an aura reading from somebody who had just meditated or exercised or is eating healthy, that those colors would be brighter and they'll come out as very, very bright, dark colors, like just super pretty colors. And the more I see somebody that has worries and has health issues, the more muted those colors look.
Hmm. Now, do you think science is ever going to catch up to the woo-woo of auras and the connection with, paranormal phenomenon?
Ooh, can I take this one?
No.
Can I take
Oh,
this
you
one?
can go first.
Yeah. No, because again, the scientific community thinks the paranormal is a pseudoscience. In fact, I read one scientist said that the study of the paranormal is the biggest exercise of futility because they don't. Because again, if they can't prove it, they can't prove it in a laboratory. It doesn't exist.
Well, the idea of science is that they need to be able to run experiments that can repeat. And how often, when you're in a paranormal investigation situation, do you get the same thing that happens three, 4 times? You don't.
It's like fishing.
Yeah, you get a voice here, and you may never hear that voice again in that same place again. Or you get a picture here, and you're never going to get that picture again. So there's no way to scientifically prove, based on the scientific method, there is no way that they'll ever accept it because they can't repeat the experiment. So I no, and that's unfortunate.
And they'll tell you.
But I do think more and more people are coming to our way of thinking than ever before. And so I that makes me happy and makes me feel good because more people are open, and look, more people talk about it now than they ever have in history.
Hmm.
So it's an amazing thing to see that wheel turning, and I love it.
See, the scientists will say if you or EVPs, well, that's just you're getting electronic interference from a cell phone or a radio or something like that, or they'll come up with every type of excuse to debunk what you come up with. And it's like, well, I got a voice here that we all heard,
Where I got I
or a
have
picture.
pictures of things that I took, so I know no one was there, but I got a picture that came out with a little boy in it. So things like that. Like we all have to just accept it,
But
and
the,
who cares what
but the
science
scientists will
says?
say, well, the light refracted this way and it caused this shape like this. And
Yeah, no, it's not possible with the pictures that I've taken, but it's
it's
all
good to be skeptical, but
it is.
after a while, you kind of run out of plausible excuses and you realize it's something bigger than The rest of us.
Well, we'll just let scientists do their thing and we'll do ours.
I
So,
was say now I wonder. I have joked before about when it's my time to go. I plan on running amok for a while. Um, you know, and my friend Sandy beat me to it because she passed. We were going to have the Earthbound Hit Squad, and we would
nice.
go after pedophiles. Like, oops, don't know why that one fell down the stairs.
Exactly. I'm in. I'm in.
But now I'm like, okay, let's science, and I feel like it would be more college, right? A college putting on trying to do some paranormal research and be like, all right, let me know, and when I kick it, I'll come repeat some shit for you.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
let's do it.
Exactly.
Like,
Yes.
that's what you need. I'm game. I got all the time in the world. Then
You
let's
know,
do
the funny thing is that which we don't see a lot of the para unity. You know, there's a lot of infighting and did you really get this or did? But I often think like if as paranormal investigators, if we all got together and kind of shared evidence and shared our experiences, we probably could do those things and say that we've, the same group did this and four different groups got the same answer, right? That
it.
probably would happen, but we don't have a lot of that unification that we should have as paranormal
Hmm.
investigators because we're all trying to find the same thing, right? What
Hmm.
happens
Hmm.
next? That's the ultimate goal of what we're doing is what happens next. And as a psychic, I'm trying to find a way to help people connect with those people. And so I feel like if everybody kind of got together, we probably could have experiments that were scientifically proven.
Right. Like your team goes in on this Monday, this team goes in the next Monday, to where you're not overlapping, you're not, contaminating each other's evidence, and be like, here's what happened
Yep.
4 times with 4 different people on 4 different days, or however many
Right.
they need to be what they consider like their baseline, or, you know, yeah, I'm in some paranormal research. Like, let me know. If I'm not pushing a pedophile down the stairs, I'll come do your experiment for you. Anytime.
Well, we did. We got a picture of a little boy in Mansfield, and we were at the Parapsychon, and somebody came up and said, "Hey, somebody has got the same little boy."
I think that was Denise Smith
Yeah,
who
yeah,
does the
yeah.
cryptid
Hmm.
podcast. She came up to me because she knew I had shown her that picture at Madison a few times, and she said, there's a guy walking around that got your little boy, and so we kept looking around. We finally found him, and I found a picture. He was in the chapel just like I was, and got the same little boy in different pose, but it's the
A
same
different
little boy. You
angle,
can,
but
because the picture that I have, you can see this little boy like he's sitting there like one of us. I mean, he's got glasses. It's crazy. You can see everything, and he got the same child at a different angle, sitting in a pew just like I did, and it was really. I mean, how cool is that?
Mm.
So,
Hmm.
I'm just sad that there's a little boy hanging out in a prison.
Yeah.
well, I always tell people that the pews came from somewhere else. And I believe that the people that we were getting in that chapel were attached to the pews.
That
So,
makes
and now
complete
those pews are in a different place. They're not in the chapel anymore. They're in a room called the Jesus room. It's got a big Jesus mural on the wall. And that's where he is now. So it came, but there are other boys in Mansfield because it was a boys' reformatory before it was a prison. So,
Yeah, that building, it's such a cool looking
okay.
building, and it's got a long, long, extensive history. Um,
yeah.
but well, thank you for answering all the paranormally questions with Aura. Maria, did you have any other questions not on the
No.
sheet? Well, our promise to our friends in the audience who were asking some basic aura questions, and I feel like we should do that for them.
Hmm.
Chair, Chair, you were the first one. Um, does aura have color, and if so, what is your color, and can you tell what color is someone?
So auras have multiple colors. For when I see them, I interpret them. the way my gut tells me to interpret them. And so, yeah, I mean, I'll talk about a couple different. So yellow, as I said, is paranormal. Whether it's you have paranormal or someone that has passed over is reaching out to you. Red is strength and resilience. Orange is it's fun. How do I say it? Someone who's very particular and likes things a certain way. Pink is more of a relationship issue, so they're concentrating on a relationship. White is more of a enlightenment kind of thing. Like when I see white, I tell people like you need to this might be something that you need to look into. Like you need to look into maybe becoming a psychic or looking into how much you want to be involved in the psychic community. So yeah, and blue is empathic, and purple is family, and so yeah, each for me the colors all mean something, and even the shades of colors mean something. So like I said before, if it's a bright if it's a brighter color, it's just it's stronger. It means strength. It means it's more. There's more purpose to it. When it's a more muted color, for me, it's you're not sure about something, or there's something distracting you. And those are answers that I only know when I'm sitting across from that person and I'm having that conversation. That's when my feelings tell me this is what I need to say to that person, right? So the colors are they guide me into the right conversation, and then the shades of the colors kind of guide me into the next level of that conversation. But actually sitting with that person is that psychic ability. When that comes in, that can take me in a whole different direction of, hey, I think I'm seeing this older person with you that I think is a grandpa, or I'm seeing this, younger person that's a brother, or like, so that's part of the whole psychic experience that happens with, I can do an aura reading and sometimes nothing will come through. That's, a spirit may not come through. I can still see the auras, but a lot of times that has more to do with, I might see green and say, you need to start working in the garden more, or you need to start working with animals, or whatever that. Because I always tell people when I see green, it's plants or animals. And I usually will get that feeling. So then I know what direction to take that conversation. Right. So I'll say, for you, I think it's animals, or sometimes when I'm confused, I'll say, do you like plants and animals? Because I don't know I'm not getting a clear path on which one I should say to them. So yeah, it's that whole mixing of the colors with my abilities to kind of pull in what's going on around them.
So Danielle says, I don't know much about aura readings and work, but I'm curious to learn. Do the colors have the same meaning for everyone across the board? And does your intuition come into play as well? So I know you answered a little bit, but this is where I'm like, Maria, I know you can see auras. So, since Laura, kind of went over some colors, do you find that those meanings for the colors ring true for you?
No, I have a different
Yeah,
interpretation. I have a different
right.
interpretation of it.
So
So,
individual for each person, right? To connect with the client of what they need to know.
Yeah,
mhm,
I think that's right. You get what you get because it's what you need to have that reading. I feel the same
yeah,
exact way. Like what
yeah,
I see and what it means to me is what my brain is telling me I have to say to that person. Right. And so
hmm,
seeing like one of the things that Jim at Goddess Elite taught me in the very beginning was that I was somebody who would see a lot of symbols because I was telling him what I was seeing. And I do think that the colors I see are sort of those symbols, and it tells me what I need to say to this person for the reading that they need. So is it their aura? I don't know. For me, it is, but I call it an aura because it's the most easy explanation for what I'm seeing. But yeah, for Maria, you're going to say I see blue, but it means something completely different to you in the moment for who you're
yeah,
talking to.
yeah.
So
It's a point of reference. Also, I don't know if you do this also, Laura. Your point of reference, like if you see the color blue or sense the color blue or the green, the green you associate with plants and animals. For me, green, it means I have to because I'm a healer also, I have to go in there and I have to remove what I need to remove, a stagnant
Hmm.
energy, and I also scanning them, and it, because every even chakras in the body has different colors. They have multiple colors. It's not just one color. And like the heart has the same color as the crown. I can see the pink and the yellow, and I can see all of that and the white. But it's my point of reference. Everybody have their own when your intuition comes into play.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the one thing that I find funny is that when I first started seeing these colors, I started looking on websites to see what do people say about these colors, and I was like, that's not at all what I think. And so I just totally forgot to do that. I was like, forget it. I don't care what anyone else says those colors mean, because when I look at it, here's what I feel. And so that's what I go with now. So
And it's all about result at the end of the day. Client's happy, and
yeah, I mean, it really, like, if you can
Mhm.
connect, that's the important thing, and that's what I know. I'm on the right path with my colors, because I can read that person and connect with them in the way they need it.
everybody's have different toolboxes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm. I think it would be fun to do an experiment to have like you two standing and just put different people and be like, what color do you see?
I would love that.
And to see if you're both seeing the same color, interpretation aside, does that person look the same to
Yeah,
you
Mhm.
energetic wise?
I would be up for that, Maria. Would you be up for that? I think that would be
Yeah,
really interesting. Yeah.
More experiments happening live here.
I
Yeah.
know.
Pay per
We're
view, right?
coming up with a lot of experiments and projects.
Yes. Yes.
um, and it's funny. It when you came in to do my aura, so this is the one that Laura did for me, and it was this way in the beginning. I think it was like this.
Yeah.
um I was really wondering what you would see, because I've had so many people tell me different colors, and I know it can change by your mood, your personality, different times of the day. But we have an aura system at the store that
Mhm.
has the hand plate with the connect, like multiple connections on, for the fingers. And I will sit there and put my hand on it and nothing will happen. And I have to really sit there and like put the energy out for it to show up. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And it will just blip real quick. And it's like purple, white, and then gone. And I'm like, because a lot of times I'm setting it up to do an event, or, you've got to test it. Right. So,
Right.
and so I'll call I'm like, come here, put your hand there for a minute. Okay, great. Cool. you know so I'm like, what does that mean? And I'm like, or is it just low integral impulse in the body so it can't pick it up, and that's just a physical thing, not necessarily spiritual. But I have yet, in the time of doing this hand plate one, which I trust way more than the mystical Polaroid that just
Yeah.
captures, you
Yeah.
know
Mhm.
um I haven't had anybody else that we haven't been able to get, and I'm like, so I'm just special. Great.
I'm curious to see if I'm gonna do it next time I come in.
Okay.
I'm curious to see if I would get that as well. I
Okay.
have a feeling I might. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna
And
try
we're
it.
like, we'll have to try with Maria too, but I'm like, some of the other readers and everything, they're barely, it's like their hand's not even all the way on it and the screen's
Oh
flaring. And I'm like, now
wow.
you're just showing off. Like, really? Um,
Giant mood ring.
thank you, Chair. She's like Melissa's purple, teal, and green, I think. Um, it's funny. I've had people, come in and like, you're very pink. And I'm like, we don't like that color.
No,
I don't do
did
pink.
not get any pink from you. Thank you very much. But I
Yeah.
know you were happy that that didn't happen. So
Yeah. And she's like, oh, immediate Barb showed up. I'm like, we don't like pink. um, but so yeah, I want to have you like try that aura thing, and just see. And Maria, I don't think we've ever had you try it either.
Mm-mm.
Um,
Yeah, I would be curious to find out if it's gonna do the same thing with me.
yeah, yeah, we have
because
to.
like
We'll
I
try
took it
it.
out to Rhodes, we were out there. Was it last Saturday, the Saturday before they had a family fun day? I'm like, we'll do aura photos out here for the day. And we're sitting there, and I'm like, I know damn well there ain't no ghost messing with this, because that's the other thing. Spirits tend to leave when I'm around. They keep a white berth, and I'm not sure why. But I'm like, I know it's not a ghost messing with this. It's just me. And I'm like, Paul, come here. And it just flared. I'm like, thank you. He goes, oh, I was starting to think maybe the ghosts were messing with your machine. I'm like, they wouldn't dare. Um, but he's like, oh, is it faulty? Is it this? And I'm like, no, it's just me. I need somebody else to touch it. Thank you. Um,
I typically have weird issues with anything electronic, so it should be fun to try.
yeah.
Mhm.
Chair, I feel like you would be very pink and light green. Just picking up. And that's one thing. Like, I don't see auras. It's more of an impression, color when I'm thinking on somebody.
Mhm.
So I know one of Chair's other questions was like, how would she know what her color is? How would somebody be able to kind of perceive their own aura?
That's a good question
Look in the
because
mirror.
a lot of times to get what I'm feeling, when I close my eyes, colors pop out behind my lids. So I don't know if that's what other people can do, but I can. And a lot of times mine is just really, really bright yellow with white around it. And I it's the craziest thing. Whenever I'm trying to meditate and I close my eyes, I search for my yellow, and once I find my yellow, I can meditate crazy. And most of the time, if I can't fall asleep, that's what I'll do to go to sleep. I will close my eyes and search for my yellow, and when the yellow comes out, it comes and it sort of just like bursts out at me. And as I focus on it, I'm out. So for me, it's when I close my eyes and just kind of try to focus that the colors come out to me.
So maybe Chair, like
I don't know
closing
if
your
everyone.
eyes and just perceiving, color, like what is, the colors that come to you. And if there's a predominant color, that
Yeah,
could be,
I would
or,
say try it. Can't hurt to
Mhm.
yeah.
try, right? Yeah.
And let
I,
it come to you. Let it
mhm.
come to you. Don't expect a certain color. Don't, you know, just leave the analyzing out and just let it come.
Oh, this is a cool
Yeah.
Allow
question.
it.
She's like, all my life I've been drawn to pink, and I wonder if there's something more to our favorite colors and why we have them.
Boy, I don't know. I would love to know that too because I am so not the girly girl, and I love pink too. I like pink on my nails and pink in my jewelry, and it's like, and I never wear pink ever. And
And in one house, we had a mauve kitchen, which
yeah,
took a
like
lot for me to live with.
I'm the same, Cher. I love pink and purple, and those are like not in my aura, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what others. I would be curious to see what I got from Cher if I did
Maybe
look.
those are your neutral. It's your safe colors.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, they make me feel good, so that's
Mhm.
that's a good thing. So
Like, I love the bright colors on plants and, but when they're in and around, like, it's almost overwhelming. And I'm like, ugh. Um, I wear pretty much all black. And I think my nail girl gets frustrated with me because the designs are always like in darker colors and she's like, oh, really? She's like, what about some pastels? I'm like, shut your face.
ah,
We're not going on
see,
here.
that's where I
This
will. So I wear all black, but I will do pink nails, or I'll buy pink purses. It's the craziest thing, and I'm so not that girly girl kind of thing. So, but I just love it. So I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, and Maria, like Maria comes into the store a lot. We call her corporate goth. Um, and then every now and then she'll walk in wearing like color, and I'm like, "Who are you? And what have you done with Maria?" but but I'm almost always like once in a while I have a for the veterans it's a red shirt and it's like we remember everyone deployed and that gets worn a lot on Friday. So every now and then I'll throw that on. And the whole time I just feel weird and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm out of my comfort zone. Blacks, grays, that's pretty much me. Most color is on my shirt. Like, and this one is an example, but if the Nightmare Before Christmas theme going on, that's where the color is. But So that would be another fun experiment. Like ask people what's your favorite color because here's what your aura looks like.
Yep. I
You
have come across a few people who have, when I've done the aura, they have told me, I'm so glad that my aura is that because it's my favorite color. So I have come across that quite a bit.
right, yeah, and like Chris, she's another one of our readers. She's always got purple in her hair.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, purple and pink are both my colors. Love those.
yeah, cheers. Like I'm a girly girl, can't help it.
That's right. Whatever makes you happy. That's what you got to
Right.
go with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, if you guys have any other questions about auras, especially in the paranormal field, Laura and Matt are here to answer. Laura specializes psychic medium, but also in the aura reading, and Matt, not psychic outwardly, sir. Um,
Psychic.
Yes.
but Laura's partner in investigating. And so if you have questions under that umbrella of auras and energy and the paranormal, now's a good time to ask. um, do auras change over age? They change daily, hourly, how you're feeling, your mood.
Exactly. I do think that there's always that core, like if somebody's psychic, they're always going to have some yellow in there. For me, anyway. So I'm always going to see some yellow in there somewhere. Or if they're empathic, I'm always going to see that blue. But then there's going to be all these other things that come up depending on how you're feeling, what you're going through, if you're frustrated, if you're angry, those kinds of things. So yeah, they change regularly.
Oh, cool question. Oh, what you got, Maria?
No, it's just that some certain colors will always be predominantly with you.
Mhm.
It will change. It will shrink a little bit, but it will always be there. And then there are times when you're like, I know when I'm really happy, it's like it's just beaming,
Yep. Yeah.
inside my core. So it will always be there. You do have some core colors that will always be with you. And it's just depending on the day and what you're going through that day. It might
Right.
shrink a little bit, or it just might be exploded all the way outside of your aura field.
Agree. Yeah.
Do spirits or entities have an expiry date? How old is the oldest ghost recorded, if we know?
Well, gosh, I mean, we're a young country, so I'd go to Europe or something like that to kind of get an answer for that question because they're so much older than we are, but they still have castles that have spirits that have been there for hundreds of years.
Gettysburg.
Gettysburg, exactly. So maybe, and again, none of us know this, but maybe it's an individual thing, and when they either figure out something that they were supposed to figure out or do something or communicate with someone or maybe those are the things that they decide they can let go now. We don't know those things, but
Mhm.
I don't think that there's necessarily a date when or a time frame for them because
In a different clock than we are.
yeah, I mean
There's
time.
no
I
time.
think time moves differently there on that other sphere or plane. So who knows? Yeah, it's a good question,
Very
but
good question.
nice to think about. But I don't know if any of us would know.
Right.
Communicate with Grandpa because he's going to be at 2:25. He's done. It's like a bad carton of milk.
Oh, can you read auras through a computer?
I have not tried, but I don't think I would because for me it's a personal experience. I like to be in the room with someone and have that face to face experience with them. And I really feel like I get so much more out of it personally for myself, but also I think I can get more out of it for the person. I haven't tried. I suppose I could try that, but I don't think it's something I would ever do, as on a regular basis, even if I could, because I want that connection. That's the most important thing to me is to have that connection with somebody.
Plus, you're dealing with electronics, and they could give a different.
Yeah, I
The camera
suppose.
could pick up some things that you may not.
I mean, I suppose it's another thing we can test. I suppose we could test it, but I don't think I'd like it.
What about you, Maria? Have you auras over Zoom or, any other way? Phone call even?
Well, if it's a phone call or a Zoom, because I do distant healing, I step into their energy. Whenever I have to do a distant healing, I throughout the whole day I'm thinking about that person's name. I'm running it in my head. So when it's time for the distant healing, I just step right into their energy field and I allow what comes in. Verse it could be aura, it could be information why they're going through this. So it's not a machine; it's a spiritual machine to me when you step into a person's energy field.
By the way, that's $5 a minute.
Right. 1-800 Aura Chat. Call now.
Your aura is standing by now.
Right.
Credit card
It's-
number.
those late night call in numbers, it's
Yeah,
completely changed
yeah.
now.
Here
Um, that's a whole new business enterprise.
2 o'clock.
I mean,
2 o'clock in the morning. Who? I'm Jake from State Farm. No, you're not.
Your aura has determined that's a lie.
that's exactly. um, I think the aura reading is different than psychic in that way, though, because I can like I've had people who've signed up for an aura reading, and the night before, somebody from them has come to me, and so I will. The next day, they'll come in, and I'll describe this person, and I'll say, do you know who that is? And I'll say, don't tell me, just say if you know. And they'll say, yes, I know who that is. And so I think distance wise, yeah, I could have a conversation with somebody. And I'm one of those people who when somebody starts to talk to me, that footage starts rolling in my head and I start getting symbols and pictures and things, right? So yeah, I could have that conversation and do a psychic reading that way.
Mhm.
Would I want to? No. I just personally for me, I like the one-on-one connection I get with somebody. I need that for myself. But it can't have. But aura, I don't know if I could do the aura thing. But
Well, this is weird. We had dinner with a good friend of mine, a good friend of ours, and she wanted her aura read, but there was no. So she went home. We came home after our dinner, and you drew her
I
aura.
drew it because it was like pounding my head. Like you have to draw this out. You have to draw this out. So I drew it and laminated it and had it as a takeaway.
And then next day we saw her, or 2 days later we gave her the aura, and she was like, and then she called up saying, Can you?"
Because she lived in New York. So she called later, and so we had this conversation. And yeah, as we were having that conversation, things were coming through. But I was also explaining what I'd seen, and I had that one-on-one connection with her before that. So I felt like that helped me too. But yeah, I mean, you guys know. I mean, as psychics, you can have a conversation with somebody. It doesn't have to be right in front of them, and things might come through during that conversation. Of course,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
it's more of a personal preference thing, I think.
So, did you ever meet a person in the real world and they had an evil aura and, you wanted them to get away from you?
No, I don't. I like don't feel like there's anything evil in an aura. There are people who are idiots, but but if I got somebody like that, honestly, I would probably get. My guess is if I ran into someone like that, the aura I would see would be this really dark red with a lot of brown or black mixed in, and I would know right away like that's and I get people all the time who challenge me, and I tell them, go ahead, you're paying for it, challenge me, I'll get through.
Hmm.
But you can challenge me all you want, you should challenge me because you should get your money's worth,
New
right? But
new
then I
science experiment.
yeah,
It's a
oh no,
new science
I
experiment.
get them. I get them. I will get them every time, and I'll blow them away at the end of the reading. And they will do a 180 by the time I'm done. But I will tell them, go ahead. But I can tell immediately. I don't know if you guys can too. Like, can you tell
Hmm.
immediately when someone's trying to block you? You can.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
one she did this reading for one woman, and the woman she was just kind of standing. I think she was just there just to kind of impress her friends, or I don't know. So Laura told her about the reading of that, and then the woman came back about a half hour or 45 minutes later and apologized.
Yeah, she did. Because she would deny what I was saying, and I kept saying, someone's saying that they're sorry, they're sorry, they're sorry. I keep hearing I'm sorry, and she said I don't know anybody, and I said I think it's a sibling. And as I was talking, the word "he" came out, so I said I think he just needs you to know he's sorry, and she was like, "No, that doesn't make any sense to me." And I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to tell you anyway because this is what I'm feeling and what I'm getting. I'm sorry if that's wrong for you, but that's what I'm getting." And so she left and she came back about an hour later, I'd say, and apologized and said, I was mad at my brother because he committed suicide. And um, I know that's who it is. And I just didn't want to admit it to myself. And I wanted you to know that you did get it. So I was like, it's okay. Like in that situation, my gosh, I wouldn't want to push somebody into anything. So I gave her a hug and I said, it's quite all right. And I appreciate you coming back and telling me, but you got to work on trying to forgive him. So,
Yeah, Chris says she too can tell when she's being blacklight too if the person is generally just up to no good sitting there.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think an extra science experiment would be courtrooms of like serial killers. What did their auras look like?
Oh, that would be so
What's
interesting.
that lecture?
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
I mean, there's been one person, and I haven't seen this person come in since before COVID. He started coming in when we were down the road in the little bitty shop, and he would wait till like 3 minutes before closing time. And, my back would be turned. I'm turning off lights, and I turn around, he'd be standing there. And, I'm like, dude, we're closing, get out.
Yeah.
And I thought more of like scoping the place, but then when he followed us down the road to the bigger location and tapping into him, he was like the first and so far only person that if I energetically want you out and leave, he would not leave.
Huh.
And he would come in and he would hover over the female staff or the younger female, customers. And I'm like, you get out. And it was getting to a point I could feel him coming before, I would just kind of look up and I'm like, you son of a, and he'd be getting out of his car.
Wow.
And the last time he was in, a good friend of mine and Maria, Don, love this man, standing there, shuffling his cards, chewing his, tobacco. And he's like, what's up? And I'm like, you see that son of a bitch right there? He's like, I'm like, something's not right with him. I'm like, he's like this tank, anything I'm throwing, or he's just barreling through. And I'm like, and the fact that he hovers over the females, especially young ones, I'm like, it's pissing me off. And Don just said, okay. Still shuffling his cards, starts kind of like pacing around in the store. That guy came in, tried to talk to Don. I didn't hear what they said. That guy left within 5 minutes and never came back. And I'm like, what did you do? And he's like, and just grinned and turned around, kept shoving his cars in the back in the room. But it wasn't like seeing it was like feeling the energy and just knowing like this was not right. And it was like the perception was like this weird type of like metallic gray, and it had like a metal sound to it, if you can, colors have sounds, I guess. But and it was just like he was in and he was ignoring everything and just barreling through. And Don never did tell me what he said or did to get this man to leave and never ever come back. But there were other readers who would have run-ins and they're like, well, I'm going to be nice to him because when he flips out and starts killing people, maybe I'll be the last one, killed. And I'm like, there is something fundamentally wrong with this person. And just that it was almost like smooth and metallic, where most auras, they flex, they move,
Mm-hmm.
and that was just like solid, contained, heavy metal, at least to me.
I wonder what I would have seen too, because I can tell you, I've never seen gray.
Hmm.
So I wonder if I would have seen the sort of absence of color, right? That would be interesting to know.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Goddess Elite closing, uh, 5 minutes before she were to close, I was supposed to get my wife a Christmas gift, and you were there, and you sold me this Ouija board,
Oh, which one is this one?
Cat.
the cat.
Oh, okay.
And then I turned on. I was getting into my car, and I turned around, and the lights were all lost, like you were never there. I'm like, that was really creepy.
I'm quit. When I'm done, I'm done.
Just quick. Yep. Just heading home.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times I'm there early or I'm already doing work before I even get there. So, it's like when I'm done, I'm done. Um, and there's times where the brain starts shutting off like an hour or two before I'm like, nope,
Oh, yeah.
we gotta get through the day. We can't just technically I could, but that's not good for business and customer interaction. Like, get out, guys. I don't care. It's only 5:30. Leave. I'm done. Get out.
At least I knew what I wanted right away. I made a beeline for it.
Right. Um, let's see if there are any other questions. I think it was Chris. Yes. Do you feel different vibrations when the aura colors change?
I don't feel any vibrations. Let me think about what I feel when I've never been asked that. So, but I know I don't get any kind of physical feeling. I have had somebody sit there and had their color change, and I will say, hold on a second, because I need to do this again because it's shifting. Um, but it's not like a physical feeling that I get. No. Mm-mm.
Do you have vibrations, Maria?
Yeah, I do notice like it's like I said, the color you have a predominant one, but it changes. Sometimes it might shrink a little bit depending on what time of the day or what you're going through that day when you come and see me. So I can see like maybe a little bit of yellow, a little bit of blue, and then as I'm doing a healing or doing a reading, I notice that color will get a little bit brighter, bigger, expanded. Um,
But do you feel a
and
vibration in the change?
yes, I do. I see the I feel the shift of the energy, and I also notice the expanding of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So Chair's like, oh, you mentioned smell. Um, and now I wonder because science mind and hamster wheels are turning. Those with synesthesia, if that can apply. So I've been told I smell like the color purple in babies all the time. But this is also a person that numbers have sense or tastes. So I think that might be more just depending on the person seeing and interpreting the aura. I'm more of like I might hear a sound or an association rather than a smell maybe.
Yeah.
um and it's like as I'm talking about and thinking about, I'm like, yeah, I could taste the metal.
I
That's gonna
mean,
be blood too.
that could be, yeah, that
Blood's a
could be
metallic
just because
type.
that person was just that was such a strong feeling coming out of that person that it was overwhelming. Yeah, and so it became more than just what you were seeing; it became a whole experience.
Yeah.
Good,
um
good criminal profiling with auras. You know?
that and see, I am such a true crime fanatic, and for a
Me
hot minute there after college I'm like, I want to be a profiler because I'm very much nature versus nurture, the science, how you're raised. Like, I put more stock into how you were raised and you're growing up than freaking astrology. Like,
Hmm.
whatever.
I can see that.
um
Hmm.
you're not going around killing people because Jupiter's in your seventh house and it's being, squared by blah blah blah. It's
Mercury
because you're with a woman
retrograde.
that looked like your mother and your mother was horrible to you, not
Yeah,
because of what
Hmm.
these planets were doing.
Yeah.
'Cause, everybody born on Hitler's birthday would be out mass murdering, right? Like, get away with, but there's always those that want to, but it's also all of this. And I'm like, nah, it's how you're raised.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
9 times out of 10, you're born a clean slate, right? So whoever your parents are drawing on that slate, and I don't know. I agree. I feel like it's more
Put
about
the
how you were
gator in the
raised.
microwave.
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah. Um, Yeah, like today, the one Windows computer we have was just acting an idiot today. And I'm like, you know what? I'm printing from the Mac. The Mac never gives me issue. And, Keller's like, well, Mercury is in red. I'm like, that piece of shit acts up all year round. Like, don't give me that. It's because it's Windows. Um,
Windows retrograde.
right. All the time. All the time. But right. And animals, not the breed. It's the owner. I agree with that. Um, have you ever met a person that you felt wasn't human? Pretty often at times, or at least
I look in the mirror and I wonder if I am sometimes. I feel like I'm from somewhere else and I just need to get.
Once the seven fingers give it away, I'm waiting.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, I don't know. I have really weird ideas about origins and who has, or who came from where, and
Who's the Grays?
stop it.
I mean, I always have felt that if you've got psychic ability, that maybe you've got something that came from somewhere else in you. So I don't know. Maybe it's what I need to feel like I belong somewhere. I don't know. So yeah, I feel like there's people around there that walk around that I can
Mhm.
connect with on a different level, and it's not anything normal. So who knows?
Stop. I mean, I'm not going to deny that I'm probably somewhat alien at this point. I just wish they could come get me. I'm done. Vacation's over. This is not a
Maybe
vacation.
if we get all of us in one spot, it will happen.
um, let's see if
Just drop me off at the blue planet. That's where I belong.
I'm like I'm over it. And this is not a fun vacation. -5 stars. Do not recommend. Let's see. Melissa's is the most non-person person I've ever met. Thanks.
That's a compliment for sure. I love that.
And to the point where even like the functional medicine doctor, where we're just joking, and I'm like, that's just the alien non-human part. And she's like, could be more than you realize. And I'm like, ooh, we're going to be friends.
We went to Madison Seminary last month, and they have this room in there. It's 6 feet by 6 feet by 6 feet, and it is all mirrors. So except on the floor, every wall, the ceiling, everything is mirrors, right? So one of my team members and I were sitting in there. Now you're only supposed to do it with one person, but we did it with two. And I looked up and I saw something in there that I am telling people, like, I know it sounds insane, but I saw I saw an alien, and it was like reptilian,
Mm.
and it was a face and like a head, and I saw it up above, and there's no reason I would have seen it because it was pitch black in there and nothing else was going on, and I can't explain it, but I tell people all the time because they'll ask me, "What did you see in there?" This is going to sound crazy, but this is what I saw in there. So,
Right. Like, do you really want to know what I saw? Or
I saw the Geico gecko.
Or are you just making polite conversation? How deep do you want to go in this conversation?
yeah, exactly. I didn't really. Yeah, I'll gauge that conversation by who's asking me. So.
Oh, good question. Can you see auras of non-human beings like crystal skulls?
I haven't been able to see that, so I think that it's just a different energy that transitions when they cross over. I can see, I can see what a lot of paranormal investigators see. I would guess is like shadowy figures, but it's more of the black and that's when I see the black of the gray or whatever. But I do think that energy changes when they cross over onto a different plane.
Well, Maria, does Bob have an aura that you can
Mhm.
see?
He has an energy. He has an energy, and I know when he's not in his vessel and he's having a mayhem going around the beach and drinking tequila. But yeah, I feel when he is in there, just like my skulls. I feel when they're there, and I feel when they're not there. And I just like, okay, where did you go?
So, but
What
like,
beach did you hang out at?
what color like is his energy then for you?
For Bob, it depends of the day. When he wants more needy, when he's, well, yeah, because when he's more needy, I see like a very soft type pastel color around him. When he's not, when he doesn't want to be bothered, basically, I have like it's even like a shield around him. It's like a shield. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, you've been bothered too much, or you don't like the conversation that's been going on in the store, or whatever. But usually, when he's very inviting, because since I worked with him before, when
Mhm.
he's very inviting, I noticed that it's a little bit softer. The energy, the color that I see on him. Predominantly, when he's really, really good, Bob is when I see like tints of red. And I just associate it because the fact that he's a lava stone crystal skull, and
Well,
that's
he's
more
very
like red. Yeah,
well, and he's very flirty with the ladies, so that makes sense.
yeah. There you go.
He is not fit for the general public when it comes to that. And as Sierra has found out when I plopped him on her table, and she's like, "Oh my god." Do you ever worry that the energy won't be able to come back if you move the skull while they're out? No, they find their way home.
No, they come home. They come home.
Yeah, it's funny too. Like when Bob's gone, like I don't necessarily. It's weird. It's like I will get the mental image of like a sign hanging over the skull. It's like gone
Do not
fishing.
disturb.
Yeah,
Not fishing.
he's a funny one, that Bob. Um, but but then again, I don't make it a habit of trying to see auras on everyone and everything.
Yeah.
Probably because I'm just too busy during the day. And honestly, I personally, with so many people coming in, I wouldn't want to be that open all the time,
Yeah.
seeing it and feeling it. But there are some people that, depending on what they're carrying mentally, emotionally, like you can't help but feel that knock a little bit. And we're like, oh, okay, this person's kind of going through it,
Yeah. That's
or
that empathic part of you that just picks up, and people are drawn, especially if people have high emotional feelings going on at the time. They're just drawn to an empath.
Mhm. Yeah. One of the very first aura photos I ever had, like way back when, it was a lot of purple and blue, and the person was just like, "Have you ever found people will just sit there and tell you their whole life story
Yep.
without even asking, just because you simply said hi?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah, that's the
all
blue.
the
I would
all."
say that too with your empathic ability. Yeah, you're just like people feel comfortable.
Mhm.
So
Uh, so Marcy says, "I have met a person that truly was not human. That was my gut. My heart started racing. They kept staring at me like they knew I knew. It was like he was watching me." Um,
I mean, I'm somebody who I'm an ancient aliens girl, so I believe that they're here and have been for the expanse of human history, and I can't see why they still wouldn't be here and interacting with people.
so
So
Giorgio is going to be at Nightmare Weekend next month, right?
no, I didn't.
The hair will be there.
Yeah,
If you're still sporting that big old hair.
I want to meet Travis. Travis is my guy. So
Yeah.
Travis Taylor from Skinwalker Ranch. That's my dude.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but I'd love to meet Giorgio too. And
You know,
Mike Ricksecker is doing Ancient Aliens all the time now too, and he lives right
in
around the
Ridgeville.
corner. Yeah, so
He's a local guy. Very nice guy.
yeah, he is.
Um, like, see, Ohio has cool stuff too. We get shafted a lot on the cool stuff, and people only want to talk about the lake that was on fire how many years ago. Like,
Yeah,
find something else. Now, I can't. Our teams aren't the greatest teams, So there's that too. But we have cool stuff that happens, and cool people from Ohio. Um,
Charles Manson's from Ohio.
Wow. Good
so
job
yeah, Anthony Sowell, who was
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, yeah. Bath.
who was the older serial killer guy who was driving around, but he spent time in Lorraine with his aunt. What is his name? And he had that perfect eidetic memory where he was drawing the faces of all of the
Oh,
victims.
yeah. I saw that. Yeah. Yeah,
I
I know
could
what
see
you're talking about.
um,
I forget his name too, but
yeah.
I saw that documentary. So,
There was the one in Mansfield a few years ago. They think there's one down in the Columbus area. They're finally starting to admit that. Um, and I'm like, well, we won't brag about them,
yeah,
but maybe when they finally catch him, like, hey, let's go down to the court hearing and like, what does Zora look like?
yeah, that would be interesting to see.
So, like, first
Ohio
observation.
for a state of our size, we sure have a lot of because the state is so fragmented. There's different parts of it. Like the lake is a lot different atmosphere than Appalachia near the
Yeah.
West Virginia border, and you've got mid Columbus, which is very conservative. Then you've got Southwest, which is more the tip of the Bible Belt. I mean,
Mhm.
and you got Cleveland, which is urban. So there's a lot of different, like five regions of Ohio that are completely different from each other.
Right, all in one little state.
Exactly.
Like the weather that happens here. True, and Ray Buckland settled in Ohio, so we can't be that bad.
That's
We
And
true.
go to the Buckland Museum.
yeah,
Have you been?
um,
It's amazing.
Dave Chappelle, lives in Ohio.
Mhm.
Halle Berry, I think, is from Cleveland. So I mean,
Mhm.
there are good people too.
Yeah.
Um,
We're from Cleveland, so that's
yeah, yeah.
we're all
um,
present company included. We're all good people. People
yeah,
watching.
we're all Ohioans. Some of us lived away for a while, no fault of our own, Army brat, and we came back. Um, okay, late to the game here, Calavera. Speaking of terrible people, would you be able to sense if someone is dangerous by their aura?
So we're
I
talking
really
about that, and I don't know because I haven't come across that yet. But the more we talk about that, I think I would be able to
Mhm.
because I think that their colors
Indicate.
would indicate some level of that. Yes, I
yeah.
do.
And I think the way those colors would appear, and I think maybe even the shape of them,
Yes.
and then that feeling and other things like associated, right? Because bright red, like on Paul when he had to test my hand plate for me,
Mhm.
it was, driven, energetic. And I'm like, yeah, you don't sit, sir. Like, this makes perfect sense for you. But to see that red and feel, that energy on top of it, to be like, no, you're a sexual deviant and you're
Yeah.
Mhm.
hanging around the
Yeah.
young girls in the store and you need to get the hell out of my store.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
feel like
Yeah.
that red would have a lot of black and gray kind of mixed into it, almost like bleeding into it. Not to use that term lightly, but I think like it would have a lot of that interaction, so it would almost look so convoluted that it would be hard to. I think the more convoluted the colors I see, the more questionable the person. Honestly, I
Mhm.
mean, a lot of
Mhm.
times the colors that I see are very distinct, you know, and even though they may start to blend in, they're still distinct. And
Mhm.
so I think when you run across somebody who's got questionable motives and thoughts and ideas, it's going to come across in the aura. Yeah.
Cool question. And I'm like, okay, at least for me, Southern Ohio is more of a blue color. But she's like, what color is Ohio?
uh,
Charlie Gray.
You know what? I was like blue for Southern, and I was thinking gray, like the top half, honestly. So
whatever color
Ohio State Buckeyes.
whatever color the team is that's winning at the time.
there we go. You guys travel a lot. I have said, and again, being Army brat, we spent a lot of time like down at Fort Campbell in Kentucky. That area feels really nice and everything. And it's like anytime we would drive back up, even as an adult going down visiting and coming back, the feel as you're driving up, like this heaviness and this, like, the more north you get in Ohio, the more sluggish it is. And for the longest time I'm like, I'm weird, I'm insane. But have and Maria, you're shaking your head yes. Like, have you felt
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
moving through from like south
Well,
to
well, I I've noticed a difference like when because I think like a couple months ago I went to Columbus and I noticed the whole vibration of Columbus is completely different from Cleveland. Or when I have gone down to Buffalo, and I'm not talking about Riverdale. I mean, I really just go through Buffalo, and I can't remember the town that I went, and the whole entire it's like it's shifted. So it's not just the color of the aura of that place. I also feel the energy of it, and it's shifted. I did not like going to past Pennsylvania. There were parts of Pennsylvania I did not like at all. I needed to get out of there right away. So it's just the energy, and that comes into play with me. I can have like a flash in my head, or spirit voice saying, this color is coming up, or a grayish. I would notice that it's a grayish color, but I also feel the energy of it.
It's funny. We went to a ghost hunt in Fremont, and none of us have been to Fremont before. And we're
Hmm.
driving into the city, and we're like, we both
We
looked at each other
both
like, "This is
we
nice."
both felt like it, like we'd been there before, and it was like home. It was
mm,
weird. It was just a strange feeling for both
At the
of
same,
us.
actually, at the same
Yeah,
time,
at the same time. Yeah,
we're
it was a
driving
little
in.
Yeah.
It's
strange.
like, and like for Licking County, that was just I got a negative, just such a negative vibe from that place.
I think a lot of it has to do with,
The events there, but
yeah, I mean, look, Ohio is, a lot of Native Americans, and so, you know, those
Ohio is
kinds of,
basically a Indian Bureau
yeah,
ground.
I mean, so those kinds of things are that doesn't surprise me to hear that at all, because the events of everything, the history of the places like that, I think, are always
Hmm.
going to come through.
Sure.
Calaveras says Columbus has one of the highest crime rates for human trafficking in the state. I wonder if that has something to do with it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The-
Unfortunately,
Dayton.
yeah.
there's every now and then, like I'll have a news report come through about so many busted in human trafficking, and I'm like, come on, Ohio,
Yeah.
do better, please.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and it's the top part of Ohio for me is gray, and then you get like blue as you start, going.
Going down. Yeah.
Only because it's a little more rural, maybe, and there's like up here it's just crowded with manufacturing and people, and it just
Yeah, it
especially
feels
if you were raised here. I mean, the suburbs. I mean, your houses are literally next to each other.
mhm.
So it feels congested from a spiritual sense. But when you go out of the city, or even like for me, if I go to a different country, it feels amazing. You know,
Hmm.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, I don't want to leave this. This is I feel good, and then you
Mm.
go back and it's like you feel heavy. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's been a place anywhere that I've been that I'm like, I just don't like it. I need to leave. And I don't know if I've had. I think maybe the closest, funny enough, is like West Virginia, Appalachia. There would just be certain areas of the mountains where I'm like, these are not my people, and not meaning the humans, but just that area.
Hmm.
I'm like, nope,
it's like the hills
nope.
have
Love
eyes.
you, Grandma. Staying a couple days, getting the hell out. Glad you love it here. I'm done. You know.
It goes back to the culture thing. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like for example, growing up in Cleveland would be completely different from someone growing up in Dayton or growing up in Columbus. I mean, it's just a different because of what's around you. So I tend to see that a lot of people from those areas are a little more polite,
Yeah.
maybe a little more reserved, and kind of a little more conservative. Just I think you're a product of your environment, and I think that that energy permeates the area.
Yeah, because I want to love it, right? The mountains are beautiful. The green of the living plants in the trees. But I'm just sitting here and I'm like, no.
You're
Like,
not from around here, are you?
I wonder how much of that has to do with stuff we bring forward from past lives too. Because I
maybe.
can't be on the water.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah,
I can't be on.
boats.
I will force myself to go on like a Nautica or something like that in Cleveland, right, for a hour boat ride. Like I'll force myself to do it. I could never go on a cruise, never, and I would feel completely off and completely out of my element. And I think the water is beautiful to look at.
You grew up at the lake.
Grew up, yeah, I loved living by the lake. It was beautiful, but I would never want to be on a boat out there. So
Hmm.
you got to wonder, like, where does that come
I'll
from?
tell you
I
about
don't
your
know.
Titanic. I'll tell you about your Titanic when you go to the exhibit.
Oh yeah, I mean, every time I go, we've gone to. I'm so fascinated with the Titanic, and I've always been. I was never exposed to it as a child by my parents or anything, but I've always been completely fascinated with it beyond normal, I would say. And so I've gone to the exhibits more than a few times, and every time I go to an exhibit, Titanic exhibit, the minute I walk through the door, I have a pounding migraine till the minute I walk out. The minute I step out of it, I'm fine. The minute I walk in it, I have a headache. And it doesn't matter what I do, I have a hard time being around all of that. I'm convinced I was on the Titanic. So, I mean, it's just been an obsession of mine since I was a child with no real exposure to it. So,
Hmm.
strange, but
And I've always had a fear of blimp dirigibles. Every time I see one, I get uneasy. It's weird.
Hmm.
yeah,
Maybe I was on the Hindenburg. You never
past
know.
lives. We should talk about that sometime because I that's another great topic.
I was gonna say we just recently did an
Yeah.
episode on, like, past life and hypnosis, and I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
we can do part two.
I love the way people have these things that they just are attracted to, or things that interest them, and there's no real explanation as to why. And I truly do feel like it's stuff that are remnants coming forward.
Oh, so Chair's asking, have you had any inkling to whom you were on the Titanic? A male, a female, or a certain type of role? Or
Third class female, no doubt in my mind. And I didn't die on the ship,
hmm.
but the minute I saw a replica of the third class cabins, and this was at the exhibit downtown, this in Cleveland, I knew I had been in there. So yeah, I knew at that point. And the weird thing is, in my life, I have come into contact with numerous people that I end up having some weird connection with that also feel that way, that they were on the Titanic. And so that's happened to me probably 15 times. I've run into someone else
Especially a little girl.
who, little kids, yeah, little kids or whatever, it doesn't matter, like people, but it's always a peripheral person. So it's someone who I know that knows someone that feels that way too. And I end up running into them and we have a whole conversation about it. And so it's kind of a crazy thing that I feel like like we're drawn to each other again.
I was going to say, were you making poor Matt, float next to the door while you?
There was room on that door.
I'll
Let me tell
never
you.
give up. No.
My name isn't Jack either.
No. Jack. No, I just everything about it is intrigues me, and I got like irrationally
Oh,
angry.
she almost attacked the
I didn't do
actress.
that, but
I had to hold her back.
I was they were walking around, and I felt like, what are you doing? Like, you're making it a show, and it's not. It should be more of a tribute to these people, and these, and you're making it like it's a TV show or something. And then the other person wanted to take our picture on the steps of the grand staircase that they had, and I got so angry at that too, because I was like, why would you do that? Like, I irrationally was like so angry at this person. I just walked past them. I was like, no, thank you. But I was like, why would they want to make it a thing to take a picture in a place where these people died? Like, it was so irrational of me, and I'm not that person. But every time I walk into those
It
places,
trivialized it.
it changes it for me. So who knows?
Well, a quick question on past life. I don't think we've had this question before. I feel like this is my first time in this world. I've no memories or special reading abilities. Everything feels new. Is that possible?
Of
Or does
course.
everybody here definitely have at least one past life?
I think I am of the opinion that yes, it's possible to be a first timer.
Hmm.
So
In
it's
this
just,
realm, in
yeah,
this world, that doesn't
yeah.
mean that she was in another planet, in another dimension.
I mean, it's just like when you see babies that you say it looks like their eyes are too knowledgeable or they have an old soul. You can have someone who has a new one too.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Embrace it because it's a
Yeah.
Make
long
the
journey.
most of this one.
It's a long journey.
Take
Yes.
this.
Thank you for coming, Chair. You came, Chair, so I don't have to come back again. Thank you.
Right, the first time that you're going to come back. That's because
Yeah.
that's you, the universe. The Hindu believe that.
Um, wow, we met. At first, I was like, "Oh, this will probably be short, even with the questions." And I'm like, "Holy cow, it's after 9 o'clock." We we had good fun, I think.
Good. Yeah,
Thank you
this
for
was
joining me.
good. Yeah, I enjoyed this.
Thanks for letting me crash.
Yeah, no, and it's good to have the other set of eyes, the other opinion in the paranormal, right? So, um, it would be fun to go on an investigation with you too, and just kind of sit back and watch everything and see how the psychic and non-psychic are like responding, to things and
What are
how
you
that.
doing Friday?
Huh? What am I doing when?
Friday.
I'll be at the airport vending.
Uh,
Unfortunately, I will not be on an airplane going to Tucson. I will be peddling my wares. Please, sir, would you like to buy a rock? Um,
This
so
rock is a good luck charm. When you get
it'll
on the
keep the plane
plane,
in the
keep,
sky.
keep it in the sky, it won't fall out. It's all right.
That's right.
yeah,
That's
I'll let you know. I'll let you know when we have some stuff coming up because we schedule for the whole year. So yeah, I'd love to have you.
Yeah,
Come
I would
join
love
us.
to come.
You as well.
Although,
Yeah.
like I said, I might be the party pooper because it seems like I walk in and the ghosts leave.
Nah, I'm not worried
You're a
about
G.
that.
Are you a GB?
We call it the GB, the ghost blocker.
Maybe, honestly.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll be good. We'll go someplace like Madison Seminary where it's crazy active. So
okay. No, like seriously, because I'm like, how and why? Um, because it's rather annoying, even at the House of Wills, and I took off everything protective I could even remotely have on and threw it out in the car. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, they won't come I'm like, they are literally at the other end of the room and like refusing to even come here,
They were
up
watching
like,
your car. Is what they were doing.
yeah, probably. And I'm like, well, this is no fun. The perception that, you know, there, but left. And there's been times where like my friend Kayla and I were going to a friend of ours literally in Tucson. Their kids were having issues. And as we turned into the complex, I'm like, did you see that? And she goes, what? And I'm like, look, and you could finally see like a little bit of it going around that. I'm like, it left the complex. Like, and I'm like, well, maybe it wasn't from. And as we get there and the kids are telling me and I'm seeing the movie and I'm like, no, that was it. It vacated as we were turning, and I'm like, how and why? And I'm like, yay, but how and why? And even Paul at Rhodes he's like, well, if when you're back here, nothing happens. And he's like, you left the room. I'm cleaning up after Rage. He's like, a flat screen TV that weighs 3 pounds. He goes, I could not lift it off the floor. It was like somebody was pushing on it and I had to drag it out the room. He's like, the minute you left, he's like, now that you're standing in here, like, not a problem. I'm like, I can't stand here all day, dude. Like,
I was gonna say people are gonna hire you for that. So
so, and I'm like, so what is it? How is it? And, figuring out like how to help other people do it, if needed.
yeah,
But, so yeah, like I would really like to, try a few, like with people who are experienced, such as yourselves, and be like, here's what's happened. Here's this, here's what's going on in the room. Now go in there and sit. Like, I will gladly be the Aaron of the group to go sit in the room by myself and just be like, now what?
yeah,
Now what? Shares like your comfort is your shield. Could be. I'm also not as afraid maybe as I should be or leery. Um, I'm also that person. Like if somebody's like, there's demonic things are, I'll walk in and be like,
same
what's
here.
that?
Yeah, same. Yeah,
And I'm like, well, nothing's happening, which is a lot of ghost hunting, right? 9 times out of 10, a lot
yeah,
of,
yeah. You're talking to thin air a lot of times, and you get nothing. And
You're either fishing or you're catching.
yep.
Hmm. Oh, well, thank you, Chair. She's like, this is one of my favorite streams. Please come back. I'm sure we can maybe get them to join us on a Wednesday morning ghost chat that we do at
Oh, I would. Yeah,
Mhm.
fantastic. I could show my pictures. You guys would
Mhm.
love those.
Yeah, we'll have to, get a Wednesday or two, lined up. At one point we were even talking like if we maybe couldn't do it live per se on a Wednesday, but like go record something, do it, and then we can talk about it and show it. And I'm like, yeah, we just have to find the time and place and the people. And
Yep.
then the whole time, Spirit's like, Laura, get Laura. Like I'll text her in a minute, and then like five other things come into my plate. And, like I've been meaning to text you about roads for like a week and a half.
We're always up to talk ghosts, so we absolutely love it. It's a great time for us, and we've had some great experiences, so we get to share. So
Yes. Oh, good point, Chair. Thank you. She is like my hype man for Discord. So we do have a Discord, and we have a whole paranormal channel where people can share, pictures, ask questions, and
I
tell.
can't do that yet. I'm sorry, because I am putting my book together right now.
Oh,
I am writing
oh,
a book.
But they're copyrighted.
They are copyrighted.
It's the copyright process.
I could put a couple teasers out there for you guys, because
okay.
I guarantee you, and mark my words, these will be the best ghost pictures you've ever seen in your life.
All
They're
right.
absolutely stunning, and it's incredible. And I'm so lucky that I'm able to catch that. So
Nice. I'm excited to see them. I always love the woo woo things, and when you can actually catch it on in a picture is fantastic, or video, which I think videos are harder, right? And
yeah,
We've got some good audio.
I do prefer the camera to video by far.
We've got some good audio.
Yeah, but the pictures are the phenom for sure.
Yeah.
So I've got about 40 of them now that I'm putting together the book, and just got them all copyrighted, getting all the permissions I need, and doing all that. And then I'm
Just
going
gotta
to
find a publisher.
yeah, I'm going to find a publisher, and then I'm going to just do a whole book of here's where it was, here's the story behind the picture, and basically throw it out there. So we'll see
cool
how.
deal. Well, when you're ready to release, we'll do a book signing
Thank you. I would love that.
because my old borders, like I love books. Um,
See back there, yes.
yeah, just a few, and this is after downsizing many times for moving and everything else. And you still yet at least one more shelf over here that you can't see.
You talk about my library?
My shelves are all stuff
More
from your
that
store,
way. And more
by the
that
way. All the stuff on my shelves is from Goddess Elite.
To tell.
Not everything, but most of it.
but
Most
a couple
of
here
it.
and there spattered.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Hopefully, you can catch us for the next episode of the Healer's Corner. We do this live Tuesdays at 7 p.m., but you can catch the podcast recording Friday morning, bright and early, ready for you when you're going to work, going to school, or you just can't sleep. So we hope to see you again. And thanks, guys. Bye bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye. Thank you.